Hey guys, it's Gabby. Today I'm going to be showing you 6 different ways to do flower nail art. And basically how I set this up, we're going to start at beginner and then it's slowly going to get a little bit more advanced. So my hope is that there's something in here for everybody. And we're just going to get right into it with the first method. So for this, I always like to start by applying my polish to a piece of plastic, a plastic baggie, just something I can dip my tool into. And you can do this with regular nail polish or gel like I'm using here. I'm going to be using a dotting tool to create my flower. This is my go-to method. There are a few other things you can use, which I will show you guys, but this just makes it easier. All you're going to do is take it and dip it into your polish and then place a dot onto your nail. So main thing here, you want to make sure there's enough product on the tool. Other than that, you're really just going to lightly press onto your nail. I will re-dip it. I would say sometimes every 2 dots, sometimes after each dot. It really just depends how much polish is on the tool. So if you don't know, you can always just re-dip it to be safe. And then if you want to use something else, you can also use a bobby pin. Same exact thing here. You're going to dip it right into the polish and then start to create your dots. And then you can also use a toothpick, which I'm going to show you guys after this. So for this flower, all I'm doing is making 5 dots in a little circle. As you can see, the dots aren't going to touch. That's really important here. This is going to keep it as simple as possible because you don't have to worry about the dots kind of merging together. So make 5 dots and then you're either going to cure your nail or let it air dry. Either one, just depends if you're using gel or regular nail polish. Another tip, if I'm using gel nail polish, I do like to flash cure my nail. So basically after drawing one flower, I'll go ahead and cure my nail for like 5 seconds just to make sure that doesn't mess up when I do other ones. Before you go and add the center dot, make sure your nail is either cured or you let the flower dry because again, we're trying to avoid the dots merging together. Since I am using gel in this video, I'm going to go ahead and cure that and then add my center dot. And that's it for that one. If you're a beginner, I would recommend starting here. Nothing too crazy, but it still looks cute. All right, moving on to the next method. This one is really similar, but one, it gives you a different look and it also leaves a little bit more room for mistakes. For this one, you're gonna start with 5 dots again. And as you can see, we're gonna make them closer, almost touching. They can even touch a little bit, that's fine. The main thing we're trying to avoid is making them too close because they will merge together and that's when you start to get that blob looking flower. So really close together, and then as you can see, I just finished by placing a dot in the middle and connecting everything. It's pretty much a 6th dot, but I'll make sure I drag it toward each dot a little bit just to make sure the center is completely filled in. Just like that first method, you want to make sure you either cure this or it dries completely before you go to add your center dot. And here is the look that this method is going to give you. For this next flower, we're adding in another tool, so you're going to need your dotting tool and a small detail brush. Again, we're going to start off with 5 dots. This time, I'm going to make them slightly further apart. These also may be a little bit thicker too, but that just depends on the flower that you're going for. But either way, I'm going to start with 5 dots, and then I'm going to take that small detail brush with no product on it because I already have enough product on my nail with those dots alone to finish off my flower. So I'm going to take that brush and basically start sliding each one towards the center of my nail. So this is the first one that is going to require a little bit of freehand, not too much, but if you have a shaky hand, this may take a little bit more practice. And I do like to take my time when I'm doing this, so I prefer to use gel nail polish. You can still use regular nail polish, but the thing is it will start drying, so you have to make sure you're working quickly or else it gets really goopy and uneven, so just something to keep in mind. I would say this technique is best if you're looking for more of that funky shaped flower that's medium to small in size, more of a retro flower, I would say, and it's also going to get you more into the flower shape by elongating the petals, if that makes sense. So this is how that turned out. Again, I added that center dot here. I think this is so cute, and you can do so many colors and combinations with all of these techniques. For the next design, we're starting with lines this time. So this method is really good if you're looking for more flower petals, if you want them to be more narrow, or if you just want the flower to be overall bigger. So basically, I'm just making little lines. These don't have to look perfect at all. And each line is gonna be a petal. So once I'm done making my lines, I'm gonna then add the dots to the end of each one. If you want your flower to be bigger, you're gonna make your dots bigger. If you want it to be more narrow, you can make them smaller. I like to have enough product in the dot to be able to slide it down to make my petals. So this method is pretty similar to the one I just showed you guys, but it is gonna require more freehand. So if you're like, absolutely not, I would build your way up to this because you're really gonna have to form each petal. The best thing I like to do is kind of go to each side of the dot and drag it down that way to get my petal. You could also, I guess you could start kind of in the center, but I think the sides are the way to go. That's personal preference. You can kind of try it out and see what you like best. But I'm just slowly bringing each one to the center so that eventually they all connect. From here, you can leave it open so it has that little center dot. You can close it all the way so that it's one color. I personally like to just always add that center dot. I just think it looks so cute, but really up to you. Here is the final look. Honestly, I didn't know where to put this next one because it's not necessarily harder, it's just different, but we're gonna be using blooming gel to create our flower. So you're gonna apply that over your entire nail, and if you're not familiar with blooming gel, it's basically a thicker consistency gel where you can put other gel colors in it and it makes it bloom onto your nail. So it gives you more of an abstract look. So definitely a different vibe than what I've been showing you guys. But what I'm going to do is start again with my 5 dots. And I did make these pretty big just because I wanted my flower to be bigger, but you still have the option of making them small here. And once you do all 5 dots, they'll start to bloom and push away from each other to create that flower shape. The main thing here, it's going to keep blooming until you cure your nail. So once you're happy with the shape, make sure you go ahead and cure that. That's going to be what sets your flower in place. So that's also why I like to work one nail at a time, especially with this technique, because if you accidentally cure some funny looking flowers, you're going to be stuck with that. And then for this one, I also added some caviar beads in the middle just because why not? But I would say overall, this method is best if you're looking for more of an abstract look, or if you're just wanting to avoid drawing anything whatsoever, this method is for you. 3D flower nails. You guys should have known this would be in here. I have been loving these so much. I know I keep doing them. You guys can't stop me. So for these, you are going to need a hard builder gel. I'm still new to these, but when I tell you, these have been so much fun to do. That's why I keep doing them. And basically, with whatever builder gel you're using, you're just going to create 5 little balls as your petals, place them onto your nail, and start to shape them into your flower. So I do have a video that shows this more in depth. This is kind of the quick version of it. But that's really the main thing there is to it, and I really like this one. At first, I was struggling because it really is sticky to everything, but it doesn't stick to your skin. I learned that from the first try, but this is definitely the trendiest way to get flowers right now, and I get it. I think it's just something new, something different, and they add so much to a mani. Just like that last technique, I wouldn't say this one is hard per se, but it definitely is more advanced because you need more material. So you're going to need your builder gel. You'll need something to shape your flowers with. You may need gel polish to paint on top of it. It just has more. So if you're a beginner, this can be like, oh gosh, what am I doing? So that's why I put this at the end. But I still think you should try it. Even if you're a little afraid of it, at least it doesn't require freehand. That's a huge plus. But once you're happy with your flower shape, you're going to go ahead and cure that, and that's going to set everything in place. Weirdest thing happened. I've never had this happen before. It turned slightly off-white. I don't know if it was my lamp or what with this, because I've used this lamp before too, but you can see it's kind of like an off-white color. I didn't mind it for this flower, but it's so strange. I'm going to finish this one by adding some caviar beads in the center. I feel like that just always completes the flower, and that's another reason I love these. You can get so creative with these. I feel like the possibilities are endless. But I hope this video helped you guys out. Now you can do some flower nail art just in time for summer, even though it's still like 60 degrees here in Chicago. It's fine. I don't want to talk about it. That's all. Bye.